Hi, I'm Kathy from Upcycle Newcastle. We've designed this face mask, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make one. We have a 3-page pattern and instruction sheet that you can find on our webpage. From this half pattern that's on the fold, I've made my own pattern out of cardboard, but you can just make it out of paper. You can even cut 2 small pieces and join them together. With this pattern, I've cut 2 layers of fabric. One that's going to be my lining, and then a prettier one that goes on the front. These 2 fabrics can be the same, it doesn't really matter, as long as they're 2 layers of pure cotton fabric. The weight of the fabric is like a quilting fabric. So as well as the fabric that we're needing to make the mask, we need 2 other things. We need some t-shirt yarn that we're going to use for the ear loops, and we also need some twist tie wire. I'll show you. So this is a sleeve of a t-shirt, and this is what I'm going to use instead of elastic. So you can see this is a sleeve that's already been cut. I'm just creating a nice smooth edge, and then what I'm going to do is cut about 2 centimetres. Now to do this, you really do want a very stretchy t-shirt. So when I cut it and pull it, you can see it's made a really nice stretchy cord. And in fact, this cord's so long it's going to do probably both of my ear loops. So the other thing we're going to need is some twist tie, the garden wire that you use, which is a plastic covered wire. You can see I've made this very special little measuring device, but basically you're going to want about 32 to 34 centimetres. I'm then going to fold that in half. You can just push it with your fingers. I like to give it an extra little press with the pair of pliers, and then I'm twisting each end together. And that way it just holds it as one wire for me. With the 2 fabrics wrong sides together, I'm placing my pattern back on to my fabric pieces, and I am marking all of these pleat marks all the way around. I'm just using a normal pen here, but of course you can use pins or you can use a fabric marker. I'm only needing to do that on one side. When we're making this mask, we're treating the 2 pieces of fabric as one. So your wrong sides are together. Not that it really matters if you're using calico, as I have done here, for the lining. Now that I've marked all my pleats, I need to pin them. So what I'm doing is taking each pair of marks, putting those marks together and folding and pinning through all layers, so that we have the pleat with the marks meeting at the top there. I'm just going to go all the way around, edges together, and you can see the marks are sitting together and the pleat is going down away from this straight edge. I'm going to keep going around. We've got 6 pleats all together, 3 on each side. Now remember, when I go to the other side, which this one now is, the pleats are being folded down in the opposite direction. So that way they're all facing the bottom, or they're folded towards the bottom. So there's my last my last pleat there. Okay, so now I've pinned all the pleats. Now what I need to do is take this to the overlocker, and all of this will be overlocked with the pleats in place. You can do this straight onto the overlocker, or if you're not confident enough to do that with the pleats, you can actually run it round on the sewing machine to baste it first, but I'm just going to use straight onto the overlocker. As I go, I need to wait for the pleat to start to get under the foot before I remove the pin, just to make sure they all stay in place. And you can see I'm running the blade of the overlocker right along next to the fabric. I'm actually not taking off much fabric, if any, at all. When I get to the edge of this, I'm doing a little bit of turning the corner without turning it, without ending my overlocking. But it's fine if you run off the end there. So that gives me a fairly neat corner on this side, but it doesn't really matter. I like to pull the overlocking, and you can see I'm left just with a couple of centimetres of that overlocking left. Now that I've got my pleats all in place, I'm going to be attaching the nose bridge wire, and to do this I fold the edge of the straight piece of my fabric over about at 1 centimetre, and what I've done is just enclose the wire. Now of course you can pin this, you can pre-iron that seam if you want to, that hem if you want to. I hold it in place and it's okay, I don't need to actually iron it. What I'm trying to do though is push these wires right in to the fold of the fabric. And I'm just going to sew all the way along. You can see I use my fingernails to actually push the wire right into the corner. Now what we're also going to do is, once I've done this, we're going to keep going around the whole perimeter of the mask. So I'm going to tuck this edge in, it's the beginning of my pleats, and I'm folding that straight edge over. So that way it gives me a nice neat corner. Now the trick with this is to not let your pleats come over. You're wanting to get this to sit flat, and you're just going to hem all the way around about 1 centimetre. All the way around to the other edge, the other top. Trim off the little bits of yarn. And you can see we've got the basis of our mask with our nose bridge wire that we're able to shape. So this next piece is optional. You can just use that as your mask now and attach your ear loops. But what I like to do is to sew these pleats down. Now this is probably the hardest part. To do this, I'm going to fold that in half, and that helps me to identify the middle. I'm just going to put a little pin in there. Now these top loops, sorry, the top pleats, I want to stitch down, and what I've done is just catch the tiniest little amount in the center there. I'm just going to turn that pin around actually. because now what I'm going to do is to start stitching from that edge. Once I've started, have your needle down in your fabric, and you can put a lot of pressure on it, and you can see with the pin here, that's making a nice line that I can now edge stitch along. I'm just going to come along to where that the other side of my pin was. I'm lifting up my presser foot again with my needle down in the fabric, so that then I can pull it all out, get it straight, and then keep sewing over to the other edge. Again, trim off all my threads as I go, much easier. So you can see that what that's done is create a nice firm enclosed pleat. Now I can do the same with this one, and now that I know where my center is, I can take a tiny little tuck in the center there. Now this middle one is actually a little bit trickier because it's on more of an angle. So again, what I want to do, and I'm using my fingernail to push in and create that line, I'm heading for the tiny fold I've got there in the center, needle down, lift up my presser foot so that I can pull all this out, straighten it up, and keep going to the other side. So that then is my second pleat that's now been sewn down. Now these bottom ones, what I like to do is just sew those up as well. I'll put a little pin at the top there, get the other one so that it's level. The length of this top stitching is about 5 centimetres from the edge of your mask. And what this will do is just end in the fabric where there should be no tuck at all. You can see that comes to a nice even point there. The other side. Make sure that where I'm coming to is matching on the other side. And now I've sewn down all of those pleats. What you want to do is make sure that you go into the back and trim off any little threads, otherwise they'll get very itchy on your nose, I think. Now that I'm finished this, I'm ready to attach the ear loops. Here was the bit of t-shirt cord that I cut earlier. You're wanting each of these loops to be about 15 or so centimetres long. Now it does depend on how much stretch there is. I actually find that this is much more comfortable around my ear than elastic, but like I said earlier, you really do need a stretchy t-shirt. A pure cotton t-shirt generally is not stretchy enough to give you that nice elasticity. Taking my mask and attaching this, so I would prefer, you can see when the t-shirt cord rolls, you end up with that double little roll on the, I think of it as the back, and this is the front. I want the front to be showing, the front of my mask. I'm just going to pin that on there, and then taking the other end, I'm going to go just above my next pleat, so the middle pleat. But you can see it's halfway between the fold of the bottom of the first pleat and the next stitching line. Now, if you're not sure how long you're wanting to make this, you can just attach the top ones on both sides, try it on, and then work out where this bottom loop needs to be attached. But I sort of know, I've made a few, and I know now how long and how stretchy these like to be to fit most people. So I'm just going to pin them on like that. When I'm sewing these on, I go forward and back in one place, turn it slightly, so I'm not going through the same place, and doing a little reverse and forward at the end there. So if I show you how that has come out, how that's been stitched, you can see there I've gone forward, back, across and back and forward again, and that just creates a really stable anchor to your ear loop, because there's a little bit of pressure on it. And again on the other side, so I'm doing this from the reverse side, of course, so I can see exactly what I'm doing. If you could do it from the other side if you prefer that colour cotton, but I do find it's just better to see exactly where your cord is sitting. Trim off all my bits of thread. And there you have it. When you're fitting it on, of course you fit so that this wire fits around your nose. You can make this pattern smaller or larger in a couple of ways. You can actually increase or decrease the size of the fabric that you cut. But of course you also have other adjustments in the size of the pleats. You can make them slightly smaller or slightly bigger.